And we're live, it looks like. Yep, looks good. Welcome to Lorelines episode 31, everyone. This week we are discussing The Letter from the Producer Live, part 66 we had last week. It was very exciting, very long. Love letter to the fans here. Cobron, you're here as well. We've got Neela, Ayumi, Core Healer, and myself, Alan Hawk. And today we have a few absences. Meowth and Bonnie are both feeling under the weather, but other than that, welcome to the party, and hope everyone had a good week.
It was fun.
I've been stewing over the live letter stuff, like what does it mean, what's going on, so I'm really looking forward to this.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm still mad over Dark Knight, just don't mind me.
We have a few names I don't recognize.
Dark Knight's not that bad.
It's terrible.
So you're saying you got some of that salted earth going on?
Neela?
It's gonna follow you around now.
Looks like we have New Type and Alex the Swan Guy in the chat.
Anyways, but yeah, let's get on with our PLL talk. Who all saw the job trailer? I'm sure everyone did, but is this anyone's first time seeing the job trailer? We're about to show it, so is there anyone who hasn't been shown it or hasn't seen it?
I saw it. It's the fastest 20 minutes I've ever lived in my life.
Is that you saying it?
Can everybody hear everyone? I know we don't have that many. Just want to make sure that we're all audible.
Yeah, if anyone's like too loud or too quiet, let us know.
We can adjust.
I was just adjusting my push to talk.
Dark Knight's adjust.
New Type says, I haven't seen it today. Same. I'm about ready for my daily viewing.
All right. Well, let me throw us into the... you want full screen today, guys?
Sure.
I'll do it.
Cobron's nameless.
I'm going to fix him. I've got to do
He's
that on the back
incognito.
end.
Do not perceive him.
This'll work. Woo!
I've been told that we are not hearing people. But... You hear me. Do you hear the others?
I can hear myself now.
Okay.
Let me see if it's working.
Sorry. Boy, it's always
Can hear
something,
Neela.
guys.
Cobron, Core Healer.
Hi. How do I sound?
Maybe it was just an
Okay.
interruption or something.
Maybe it was an interruption.
Unfortunately, it
All
happens.
right. Just a sec.
To talk about first the job actions, kind of discuss if there's like any inspiration behind them, kind of go behind the scenes about what all they talked about. So almost kind of not quite a kind of like lore, but like kind of like what our thoughts are on it. And I mean, there is kind of lore behind it too. The inspiration behind some of these new abilities does have implications as to what it's going to be used in the story with. So
That's not lore, that's heresy.
oh, look, our
There he
Aaron's back.
is.
Ready whenever you are, Val. Let us know if it's too loud.
Really love the animations they did with the little.
And those are actual raids and raid mechanics.
Yes, they are.
Oh yeah, very cool.
Still cracks me up with the red mage.
It's a good touch. Oh look, we're starting with my favorite.
I like the new ability, the fourth one.
Yeah, that one's new. That fourth a little bit.
Kind of looks like a dragon's kind of raking along the ground. And I don't know
like
if
this-
that's like a new Chaos Thrust animation.
It looks like Chaos Thrust has gotten more badass. Yeah, that's not the normal animation.
I like
So,
that one a
as-
lot. The kick around.
As
Yeah.
cool as the job actions are, like I'm fixated on the upper left where we just have the rocks floating in orbit, and I'm like, why is that? Like, what event was there that like kicked up a ton of rocks on the moon and caused them to go into multiple orbits?
There's a few little subtle differences and details like that in the background of these that it's good
Yeah.
to take note of.
And here we have Thavnair.
Abner, yep.
Yeah, which I'm really happy that they muted the colors compared to that one stream where they had everything oversaturated.
Now that
Before
ability
I-
where he just drops the axe and then just kind of punches around.
Yeah, that's Berserk mode. It reminds me of like old school Final Fantasy Berserkers and the Berserk status affliction.
Two,
Now all the Felp leaves.
3. And then they decided to give Warrior the Dark Knight ability. On to Red Mage.
In Labyrinthos, which is a very suspicious area to me.
Yes, Labyrinthos. Can we talk about this?
Yeah.
Charlian Mystery Bunker.
That's exactly what it is, including wide open spaces. I really like that ability. That Mage gets.
Red Mage now has a 3-dot gauge beneath it.
Yep. Good news,
And
we've
slowly
added
little
green
pebbles.
magic.
Hey, look, it's everyone's favorite class.
Ability to run.
What, you guys don't like Scholar?
I can't tell if that is snow covering those cars or if it's like a tarp.
It's near.
I would say it's either snow or ash.
Also, look at the sigil or the symbol on top of the.
Oh yeah, on top of the building.
I don't think it's a gap closer. I think it's like he casts that ability and then they become faster.
Yeah, it's like
It's called
Peloton.
running.
That's the Go Faster ability they told us about.
It's
then
the
that
running
makes
ability.
sense.
Where you hit W.
Also, was that an upgrade to the Art of War right at the end there?
Yes, it looks a lot better. It might
It
just
looks
be
a
an
lot
animation
cooler.
shift, but it looks way cooler. It's
I
almost
would
satisfying.
expect it's an upgrade. Assume.
Ayumi, tell us all your thoughts on this class video.
You want all my thoughts?
All of them.
It's
Bring
become
back
lazy.
Hypercharge.
Look, it's Darkest Night. I didn't know that you could put it on someone else. Yes, you already could.
Hey, it's important for people to learn.
What you mean, black?
I always say it wrong too. I don't know
What
why,
of darkness? I didn't know Frey could do that. It's pointless.
but pretty.
So what you're saying is the class was already perfect and they didn't need to change it.
Exactly. Ah, Bonnie.
Bonnie says it wasn't blackest though. Is that true?
Bonnie's chibi is staying away from us for health reasons.
Was this in fact the blackest of nights?
But yeah, it wasn't TBN, it was new skill. The
what?
animation was different. The animation for the shield that was put on the healer is not TBN, it was a different skill. The animation is different.
I still think it's trash. And
That's
you can
okay.
go the other way.
I'll be
It'll be fine.
I really wonder if we'll get to run up that large cliff of crystal, or if it'll perpetually be in the background.
I hope so.
Kind of like the mountain in Germania.
And did you see the square kind of rock design on the...
Dwellings there?
Yeah.
Looks like
Gun
a
mage.
Shotgun, so high.
So, see, this is what makes me think the cars are covered more in ash than snow.
Yeah, it's burnout for sure. But it could be burnout
Yeah.
and then snow covered, right?
Yeah. I love this new look right here.
Sorry,
After
I'm
the,
not looking at the animation because I've seen it so many times. I'm looking at the actual area behind him.
Oh yeah, there it is. The lances.
Yeah, I love those lances and that shotgun. I'm excited.
Now, my question is, how much of this area is going to be walled off and not accessible and just kind of scenery? Like, are we going to be able to go into the burned out buildings?
That is a very
It's
strange
probably just a
too.
road.
Yeah, I imagine some of them will be anyway.
Also, you'll see the striking dummy looks very sort of Thabnerian. Noticed that earlier and forgot to say something.
Will those cars be a mount? They were a mount,
Indeed.
Colrad. They're
By
no
the way,
longer mounts.
Garlemald are oil barons.
Yeah, they have oil.
Yes. Well, we knew that from Northern Family.
Cerulean
My
barons.
question is that ice in the background under the snow, or is that crystal?
That-
Because
that
I can't
looks
tell
like
for the
ice.
life of me.
Looks like frozen cerulean.
Yeah, it looks like frozen cerulean.
Oh, that'd be interesting.
Oh yeah, look at the pipes. This is an oil rig.
Oh, it's definitely cerulean.
Cerulean,
It's
right?
liquid.
Well, yes. Okay, fine, yes. If only our oil would glow blue too.
Also, Midnight Korath brings up a good point. Even if the cars are busted, be like, hey Sid, you know these things, go fix one.
No,
Right?
he's never fixed the Garlean car.
Okay, we'll get Nero. We'll tell Nero that Sid could fix this car really well, and then we'll have the best alien car in existence.
All right, here we go. This is the first really
Okay,
interesting area.
so now this.
So up on the waterfall, there is clearly some kind of supporting structure, and we see that on the other islands as well.
Yeah, it's like a wall or a ring.
Yeah. And so that makes me think that there is actual like ancient magic levitating these islands.
It's probably gonna be the floating continent.
I'm
with,
sure
like,
it is.
shit.
What's
Camera
interesting-
or-
Sorry about that.
No problem. You can go ahead.
I also
What's
think
it-
the trees are
What's interesting to me is that the other floating areas we have all this like crystal that makes them float, but we don't see anything like that. So I'm really wondering if it's inside or is there just nothing.
We've already moved past it now, but I did want to add that even though we didn't get Faux Requiem back on Bard, there is some sort of aura going on there, which I guess
Yeah.
is something. It's something.
Here we
Astro, or yeah, Bard basically has Astros seals. Is what
Yeah.
it looks like to me for Bard.
Stickers.
Also,
Here
look,
we have Moon
more
Geodude.
floating rock. More floating rocks in the upright.
Yeah.
Again, they're always behind that building, it seems like.
And instead of being white like the moon, they're blue like the building.
Mm-hmm. They were so
Yeah, some of
crystally
them glow.
Much
Suspicious.
like-
suspicious. Very
Also, we
suspicious.
have the cracks in the moon with darkness pouring out, which is pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at the art for Mara Lamentorum, there's a giant chasm spouting darkness next to that structure.
I have a problem with the crack that's shown on the Astro clip because
Problem with
the
the
color scheme there looks a lot like part of the death animation for the Terminus beast we see in the benchmark
Yeah,
trailer.
it has me worried.
I really want to get a close-up shot of the bridge here and see what these symbols on it are.
Yeah.
That water dirty. Yeah, it is. Holy cow. What's going on here?
The water's not dirty coming out of those fountains.
Yeah, I was gonna say this
Yep.
is the expansion except
The giant Midari coming in.
Like,
obsessed with giant waterfalls.
I wasn't going to comment on the water just because it's been bugging the hell out of me every time I watch this trailer. I'm just like, it's dirty there, but it's normal there.
I was gonna say I've seen enough really salty rivers and lakes that that doesn't seem abnormal to me. You know,
It
they
doesn't,
they have filtered stuff pouring in, but it gets dirty really fast.
Yeah,
I thought it was sand. Oh, it's my class. See, we have the purple tree.
Wait, you're playing the Pegasus?
Yeah.
It's still a glare mage.
It's not a glare mage. It's a glare plus mage with Uber Holy and Earthly Star.
Lightwell.
Yeah, look at that.
I'm just glad Astrologian looks like it's going to be okay.
Yeah, Astro will be fine and White Mage will be fine.
I
So
like that
from
they
my
brought water
understanding,
back
from
to
what
White
I'm looking
Mage.
at here,
Yes.
every time they cast like an AoE heal, it casts a second one.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's either
White
that or the
Mage.
healing well is on an 8-second timer.
White
and
Mage
it
is
heals
gonna be
every 8 seconds.
White Mage is gonna be the prog healer for sure. Again.
Hey, my class.
I'm gonna say it.
I'm happy that they reduced the futon thing to a single ability. You can instantly apply it.
You know, I think I've seen a waterfall in every single zone that we've seen in this game, except for Marlon Forum. If you look in the far upper right, there's another waterfall back there.
I know, Colrath. Colrath says, when's Ninja getting sexy no jutsu?
You gotta glamour that yourself.
Here we go.
Chidori!
Where'd Frog go?
I'm looking at the concept art for the floating island area, trying to figure out where exactly they recorded the clips for Bard and White Mage.
Aw, Toy
This
Christopher.
looks
Yeah,
like
you
her.
missed White Mage.
Yeah. Yeah, no, spoiler, the floating continent clips were actually in
I'm gonna be-
Apprentice.
I'm going to be honest, I wish we had gotten Flare Star, but I'll take what we can get for Black Mage.
I wish Black Mage would have gotten Meltdown.
What?
Like, I want more explosions. I always want
I thought that's what this is coming from.
It looks
It
kind
kind
of
of
like
is. I mean, it kind of is, but I'm still just like automatic and knock-in. It's like, I'm just gonna trust that the guy who runs the game plays Black Mage, so maybe this is gonna be okay.
Yeah, so Meltdown is the ability Ishtola casted on Emmett Sulk.
Yeah, it's very
Right.
dramatically drops on his head.
Right.
And we're like, was that an LV4? What was that?
I was hoping for that too. Or even something like level 5 death or something.
Those
I
particle
have no
effects,
info
though,
on
the
Black
ice
Mage,
lightning
I don't know how.
spells.
Yeah, Ice Lightning, Ice Fire, definitely interested in seeing more of that too.
Extra flare. Or foul.
Exaflare?
Extra. It did the foul thing, which I never really noticed that crystal in the middle of it until now, and then it did another one with a bigger crystal.
Sage looks interesting, but I'm definitely like really chomping at the bit.
Triangle Mage.
Hey look, another waterfall in the background. Kind of on the left.
Well, and a water tower.
Well, water towers are like artificial. Didn't know if it counts.
So it looks like the Sage class has something much like the Lily system going on.
Here's another thing. It looks like there's a barrier at the walls, like this large rectangular area, like it's marked off.
So that, I believe, is the sky projection field. Because there's
No,
no
like
actual sky
in the
right
foreground.
Oh,
really
in the
close,
foreground.
really close here, right by these raised walls, the planters or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
I hope we're not trapped in there.
And those are the dancer statues in the background.
Yeah, on the
Yep.
left.
Before they break.
Is that all you
This is
focus on?
such a cool bar.
Yes. I really like how Monk looks in this.
Same. I was really tempted to go Monk for the start of Endwalker just because Monk used to be my baby.
That's Blitz.
I am.
Did you see
the
that
Blitz
finisher,
system?
Cobron?
Yeah, the
That's Blitz
system
from
looks
5,
amazing.
for real. It's very reminiscent, or 6. It's very reminiscent.
It absolutely is the Blitz system from 6, and it makes me so happy that they included it. It's about time. Now all we got to do is get Suplex in there, go run Phantom Train 50 times.
So it's interesting to me that they start off with Bahamut. Like they don't start off with the other ones.
Yeah.
And they're all chained at the beginning. You notice.
Looking at the
Yeah.
background here, this is the one area of Garlemald that's like actually in pristine condition or something.
I'm also noticing that satellite dish on top of the building, which means that Garlemald
there's a
has
satellite dish.
satellites.
Yeah, didn't they engage Dalamud with the satellite in Bosnia?
They used the transmitter, but
They
they
use a
didn't.
That's what I
transmitter.
mean.
Yeah. But this indicates that they have something that is bouncing off of it.
True,
Or
true.
it's receiving something. Which makes me wonder if there's something broadcasting that they're receiving.
Yeah, that's definitely a receiver.
As for the way Summoner works, it appears that Dreadworm stance and Bahamut may just be the same thing now. But the way the rotation is going to go is basically Bahamut, then each of the 3 elemental summons, then Phoenix, and then the 3 elemental summons again, because you'll notice after the summoner uses Phoenix that the crystals unlock again.
Just a perfect circular rotation with no gaps.
And all of their dots are gone. They're just
Yeah.
Which is
basically
interesting.
a caster.
If I
Yeah,
recall
but-
correctly, Summoner and Bahamut and Phoenix are also shorter duration now compared to what they used to be.
15 instead of 20.
Yeah, it just reminds me a lot of Ten's summoner system, which I
You
really
get a
enjoyed.
gap closer. You get a gap closer.
So Bonnie was saying the crystals unlock after Phoenix. Mm-hmm. There they are. Reaper.
Back to Garlemald.
Lorath just said something interesting. With the beast tribes working together, I wouldn't doubt they'd mind us meditating to borrow their primals for the use of fighting over.
Yeah, that's true. We're all friends now.
I am interested to know if the like big summons are going to be a retroactive thing or if that's an 80+ one.
So I'm looking at the building in the background, and I've seen a comparison of how large it is in comparison to a player character, and the tower behind it is just so massive in comparison.
It's essentially a mountain. It's Crystal
Yep.
Tower height. It's a huge building.
It's basically what Crystal Tower.
Crystal Tower height. What? You compare that. Now I'm curious.
Well,
I
dark
mean,
and
I've
light,
been saying,
right? We've got
I've
the
been
blue
saying since
crystal
before
and
they
the dark
revealed
red.
this tower.
So I gotta say, and I know it's a work in progress, I really hope the Reaper gauge is smoother animation than what they're showing here.
It's kind of the
Yeah. But I really hope that tower in the background is called Zod.
And Paladin went full Agrius. And Sid.
Bonnie, can you tell us the history of these awful creatures?
what you
So-
don't like moon crabs?
I am the bone of my sword.
So
Get
this
outta here,
monster
Archer.
type that the Paladin is fighting, they're called Thinkers. They're from Final Fantasy XI, and they're found in an area called Primivian, which is essentially a dimension that has been eaten away by the emptiness in 11, which you can think of the emptiness as a force of nature that is also treated as an antagonist, in a way. But Primivian and all of the enemies inside of it are heavily themed on memories and recollections, and actually drop different types of recollections when killed. And they each have an elemental core.
Heavily influenced by memories,
roads and
huh?
bridges, investing in airports and rail,
Investing in
expanding
pause
rural
button.
broadband, and
Sorry about that.
Totally fine.
Who has autoplay on?
Right?
Right?
Not me.
I think we've ribbed you for that for a couple episodes now.
Poor
You
thing,
have,
you
and
don't
it's
deserve
fair.
it.
So yeah, that was the quickest 20 minutes you've ever lived through.
That was.
Yeah.
God, I know it doesn't feel like a 20-minute trailer.
I have to go in for the pun here and say it is really action packed. It's true though.
Job action packed.
and you know, global cooldown packed and magical ability packed.
It's really funny.
Just a
the
brief
only thing that's missing
tangent
is Dark
on the thinker mobs. Their drop pool in Promethean Hala are burning memories, bitter memories, fleeting memories, malevolent memories, profane, and then they also drop recollection of fear, recollection of pain, startling memory, somber memory, and then teal memosphere, which I forget what the memospheres are used for because it has been like 10 years since I ran Promethean.
That's a lot of very you know, negative, dark type memories.
Yes, every single Promethean mob is like that too. And there's a boss version of the thinker type of enemy called the Cerebrator. And like all Promethean memory or enemies, their weakness varies because when you go into Promi, their elemental core is randomized, so you have to know what color is associated with every single element in the game. And then adjust your fucking spells accordingly, which can be rough.
I'd imagine so.
I heard some of you were getting back into 11.
No, it's a
Yeah.
lie. I'll be starting it after this stream.
If you can get around play a line, man.
Yes, I finally beat the first boss.
Play online savage.
No kidding. So I don't know where we want to go from here. I have a slideshow.
Let's go with the slides.
Very good.
Yeah, unless someone had something specific to bring back with the jobs, I think it's fine to move on.
I have something specific, but you all don't want to hear it.
I want to hear it. Tell me, Ayumi. Tell me about Dark
'cause I've
Knight.
said it for so many times.
It's
Me
lost
just
its
like,
way.
haha, darkness go burr.
Darkness go burr.
I'm gonna
It
sit in my
looks
corner
cool
and
still. I don't care about anything else.
It does look cool, and only people who enjoyed Heaven's Word and Stormblood will be likely to complain. But, you know, they basically doubled down on no dark arts, etc., etc., etc. So
Go
I
back to
understand.
Stormblood Dark Knight, and everything is fixed. Give us back
I don't know. I would want to get some of that stuff back, but ultimately, I'm still fine with the job as it is now, and I don't mind seeing what they're going to do with it in the future in this direction.
Yeah, same.
I really don't think it's ruined or anything.
Stormblood Dark Knight and Heaven's Word Dragoon.
Ooh.
I'd even take Stormblood Machinist, but with the new abilities also. I guess you can't have everything.
You cannot. Moving on.
Yeah, so the live letters started out with job adjustments right after the trailer, I believe. And that is what we're at, slide 1.
So plans build upon the 5.50 adjustments. So basically, they took everything from Shadowbringers, and we're just kind of using that as the general template from now on. Recast time of primary abilities will be adjusted to align with 60 or 120-second timers, meaning everything will kind of, instead of being, kind of all over the place, everything will kind of remain within a window.
This is actually a huge and very important change because there are a lot of jobs that just don't align with buff windows easily. So this will make them stronger in a party and, of course, cement Ninja as meta.
I'm excited about this
Finally.
because I'm notoriously terrible about actually lining stuff up well, so this will make it really dummy easy for me, hopefully.
Right? As long as you open at the same time, it'll be up if you don't die. Yeah, it's really helpful. It's normalization of the combat system.
For some people, it may not seem like a big thing, but for like people that do endgame content, and I hate using that word because people, generally do play this game to have fun, and there are people who also want to go in and have, more of a challenge, more, get into it a little bit further, challenge themselves a bit more. It's a big improvement upon what it was. All right. Note that all abilities have note that not all abilities have been adjusted to 6120. So we can still assume that most everything has kind of changed over to the 6120 rule. So we can still kind of pull off our skill action combos within a reasonable time frame. Just not you can't expect everything to be within those windows.
I wanted to add, we just finished the trailer. I'm actually curious what you guys think you're going to be maining as we go forward, both chat and the cast.
White Mage.
Ninja Paladin.
I'll probably end up playing Reaper, Dark Knight, and Astrologian a lot too, but I always main Black Mage.
Mm-hmm.
I'll probably be maining Astro, but I may end up being tank for raid still. We'll see.
Ninja, Paladin, Astro.
Yeah, I'm also going to be running Sage.
Nice. I'll be sticking with my standby Dragoon, though I'll probably also give Reaper a try, and I have got to do some Astro. And Summoner I'm definitely going to get into.
But Astro much later. I will be doing Ninja for the expansion, and then Paladin later on.
I honestly have no idea what I want to play. It's such a problem.
It's hard to pick.
I'll probably be sorry, I'll probably just be playing Red Mage because I'm a filthy casual now.
Red Mage is comfy.
It looks really cool. It's comfy and free raises. Anyway.
I just like that Red Mage has a laser beam now.
Yeah, it's a laser like sword thrust. Super cool. So Ninja, actions linked to Raiton, Doton, and Huton will be added. So I guess this is kind of like the double attack for Raiton, ending in the story. And then Huton has the thing from.
I can actually shed some light on this too.
Yeah,
since
please
I'm
go.
in Ninja main.
Go.
So Raiton is basically your strongest single target attack. According to the video, following up after he used Shikuchi, then Raiton. It looks like there is a double attack afterwards, where you cast Raiton at a distance, or it could be up close, whichever. And then you follow up with an attack and then a second attack. So that's nice. I'd like for them to do the same with like other attacks too. Actions linked to Huton as well. I saw in the trailer also that Huton, initially you had to precast Huton, which was your weapon skill increasing, weapon skill decreasing time window ability. And you did it right before encounters, and you had to hide to reset your GCD and then come out of it so that you were at the full 60-second duration. Using what that you saw in the video, you can instantly apply it, and because the job gauge, because the skill set wasn't shown, I'm not sure whether or not it will refresh or cycle the mudras or not, whether it will take up a mudra, but it'll be interesting to see whether or not that happens. Doton, I didn't see really anything in Doton follow-up, so we'll see if that gets changed at all. And this thing at the bottom, all actions making, I'm assuming that's Huton, easier to apply will be added.
There.
So, yeah, like I said earlier, it's nice to have Huton instantly applied, and I hope it doesn't cycle the GCD or the mudras. And if it does, we just find a different way around it. Ninja before had their mudras OGCD, which was fun. It kept my fingers very busy. With the new changes to the 6120 rule, this will make it a bit more of a challenge to play Ninja, I think, or it could be more easy, more streamlined. Those are my thoughts.
Yeah, I'll be really interested to see how these how the changes make the jobs feel and how they make them play, because I do appreciate that they've generally gone for streamlining over getting mired in skill bloat. Though there are times I feel like it's gone too far. All things considered, it's a good call.
Yeah, I would tend to agree.
So moving on to Reaper, melee DPS of course uses a scythe to attack in tandem with their avatar and can serve as the avatar's vessel to unleash more powerful attacks. see this double energy bar. Able to grant enhancements to the party, unique and specialized actions give them an edge in specific combat situations. I'm curious to see what that actually means.
So the Reaper job, actually, if you've read the job lore, here I can actually pull that up without you having to go and grab another slide.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead and talk while I grab this.
Neela says, give them an edge, huh?
Oh, Lord.
Zing.
I don't know if I agree, new type. I think it looks pretty smooth. We have other jobs already that have 2 resources, so...
So the idea behind the Reaper. The Garlean forebears were once humble farmers who made their home among the sun-drenched fields of southern Ilsebard. That was until they were driven from this paradise by invaders wielding arcane magics. Forced north into the frigid mountains, the survivors sought a means to tap into the reservoir of ether, otherwise closed to them. A daring few found their answer within the void, binding themselves to its creatures to gain verboten power, power fed by the souls of the slain. Once more, they took up their sides, this time to reap a crimson harvest. Botanist with scythes.
It's great lore.
I'm trying to make a joke, but it's just not coming to me, but I love it. It's making me smile. Angry farmers.
I do love that. As soon as Reaper was announced, everyone was like, ha ha ha, botanist, but angry. And then they were like, yes, that's exactly what it is.
You have to wonder what exactly they meant by that, too.
Also,
I'm sure
how
we'll get the lore
crazier
behind
does Reaper not actually have combos in the
That's
traditional
true.
sense?
It doesn't seem like it, at least initially.
Doesn't it? I thought the spender was like 5 different animations in a row.
So if you watch Yoshi P play Reaper, you don't see the combo continuation highlight around any of his keys. And when I was reading the tooltips that people translated, I don't think I saw any combo potencies.
So you mean like the 1, 2, 3 thing?
Uh-huh.
Got it. Yeah, that's possible. We already have classes that are kind of like that, like halfway
So a
there.
DPS Dark Knight.
Yeah.
Like, we don't really have much in the way of melee that works like that, though, because most,
That's
like,
true.
the melee are heavily reliant on combos and then weaving in other stuff. Whereas Reaper, it looks like you have a lot more freedom, and I can see how that would lend to what they were saying on stream about Reaper being a high skill cap class. Because they were warning people that Reaper is going to be more on the difficult side of things.
Able to grant enhancements to party and unique and specialized actions give them an edge in specific combat situations. So yeah, they're able to buff the party. They're able to, I'm assuming lifesteal based on what we saw in the video.
I'm
Certainly
intrigued.
the little teleport thing looks really not only cool, but highly useful.
I could see that being very useful in PvP as well.
Although they do change actions in PvP completely.
Yes.
I'm sure they'll keep some
Sadly.
of the flavor, though. They always keep some of the flavor. And they add other abilities anyway.
Let's go on to the next one.
I wanted
Well,
to say,
I did wanna
I probably
say
will
real-
be playing
Go for it.
Reaper initially. I want to see how it feels. I'm pretty excited to try it out. Sorry about cutting you
So
off.
I'm more excited about the job quest lore.
I was actually about to bring up the lore before we left. Thank you, because I'm really curious about how summoning or contacting Void Sent at all is going to work when there's low or no ether
Agreed.
manipulation ability. Not to
Plus-
say it can't be done. Like you just got to go find the pot with Mormo's sister or whatever in it, but like it makes it more challenging.
Yeah.
Question.
Plus the
Forgot
fact
about
that
that.
it changes based on what what race you are.
Yeah.
Question. Did they ever actually say Void Sent? Because this text says Avatar. And the lore
know, they
says Spirits
originally
of the
said-
Dead, not
They
souls
did
from the
say
13th.
Void Sent originally.
But it seems like he might be walking back.
It
Mhm.
might be.
Well,
Maybe-
originally they also were calling it Avatar. They've been using both.
Maybe they want to leave it like open-ended so that they don't spoil anything, or they want to like hedge their bets on what they plan to do with the lore.
Quite possible. Also, new type brings something up. How much lore will we get? It starts at 70. Someone correct me, but I believe they said there will be 70 to 80 quests for the new jobs.
ought to
Yes.
be.
So Gunbreaker was the same way. There was a storyline quest for the class, and then you had it could roll into the roll quest, and then you have the 80 quest. So I'm assuming this will be much the same, where both Sage and Reaper will have quests every 2 or 3 levels, as well as being eligible for the roll quests and a final quest at 90.
So it won't be as thick as, say, the Stormblood jobs that had a full 10 levels every couple levels, all the way up
Right.
to 70.
And they are still doing the roll quests for Endwalker. They're just 5 instead of 4 now.
Which I
that's
actually
an
liked. I
upgrade.
was very baffled to have melee and ranged melee together. It made sense in the lore, but I was like, this feels very different to me.
Now
It
it's
was-
like it'll be a bit more sensible. Like it'll be a bit more fleshed out.
It was a bit confusing for people, too.
Yeah, and it'll be easier to write the story for it if they're going to stick with that, because then you don't have to be quite so vague in the what this person is seeking.
Next one.
Foul.
Upcoming with physical range DPS. So there will be a parity between the physical, magical, and attributes of weapons at the same item level and accompanying changes to the action potencies. So when he started talking about physical and magical damage attributes of weapons, I kept thinking, so there's going to be magical attributes going to be added to weapons? So it kind of confused me a bit.
I feel like the magical weapons have always had a sort of magical damage, though I'd have to actually go check to be confident in that.
I want to say that this is more a mistranslation or a misunderstanding between casters and physical DPS.
Well, it may also have to do with that ranged have generally done lower immediate DPS because they have more uptime or whatever. I'm not sure, actually.
Yeah, potencies are lower in general because they have more freedom to cast from somewhere else, but that obviously depends on their fight design, right? Like if their encounters are brutalizing black mages because they have to stand still, but flexible to people who can play close, then it doesn't feel fair. So maybe that's what they're trying to address with this parity comment. It doesn't mean that there'll be equal potencies. It means they're going to try to balance it better, I think.
I think so too.
And that's where I find the mention of weapon odd, because I'm like, I thought the weapons were all pretty much the same.
No,
Not sure.
there's +3 and there's a whole bunch of weapons that are just above, and it's part of their balancing act.
Makes sense then.
So maybe they'll just make all the numbers on the weapons the same. Because parity could mean fair or it could mean equal. It really depends on what they even mean.
All right. What do we got next?
Bard.
Take her away.
Each of the 3 songs will make available a new action that applies a party-wide enhancement. This is interesting. I don't know if it's exciting until I see it. We obviously have songs right now that give you gameplay, like style changes. So Minuet and Bard, Mage's Ballad and Army's Paean, they make you play differently, you know. This says there's a new action, so I don't know if they're replacing old actions or adding a new one. I really don't know what's going on with it, but
I did find it
is that the
interesting
aura,
that
maybe?
Sorry?
Oh, I apologize.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I just sort of jumped in.
It's fine. I was just saying, if I read this, each of the 3 songs will make available a new action. Is this speaking to the aura, maybe? The song?
Maybe. I recall when Battle Voice, I believe it was, used to do something different based on the song that you were playing at the moment. I have seen groups wipe to, or had trouble in Neo X Death where they all got petrified because they got a little bit of health at the wrong time.
Right. That's
And
That's
they've
the
taken
ability
that away. It
troubadour.
seems like they're adding it back in, maybe, or
They're
something
not
similar.
adding it back in or something different that's similar.
That'd be my guess, but you know, I haven't
Battle-
actually had a chance to
As
study.
like as it is, Battle Voice is just kind of like, oh, you just throw it up when it shows up. You don't really give it much thought.
Mm-hmm.
Battle Voice is a direct hit modifier, and I think it's always been that way, but the old Troubadour, before they normalized all of the defensive that ranged physicals had, where now they're all 15% damage reduction, I think. I can't remember if it's 10 or 15. I don't play endgame these days. It's been a minute. But Dancer has I forget what it's called. Machinist has Tactician and Bard has Troubadour. This is all a defensive AoE, but in Stormblood, Troubadour had a different effect based on which song you were in, and one of them increased your hit points by 10%, and if you did that during the you have to get full healed mechanic of Neo X Death, it would wipe the party. So instead of being useful, it was actively harmful. A new action will be available upon execution of Apex Arrow. Thank God we have a follow-up to Apex. It's just a spender. You spend it when you're at 100. It's pretty,
Yeah, it's
but
still
it's
better
not
than
good
nothing.
gameplay. Having a follow-up is helpful.
Exactly. Yeah, I agree. I play a fair amount of Bard, and I'm definitely chomping the bit for that.
Are we gonna call it Nadir Arrow?
I love it. Go with it.
Apex is the highest point, Nadir is the lowest. I'm just a smartass.
I love it. I love it. I hope so. Dancer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree, Listening Garden. They say Apex Arrow felt so anticlimactic for a prestige/final skill. It is, because it takes so long to fill it up, and then you just go, "Pow," and you're done.
Who here plays Dancer?
Any dancers
I have
in the
played
party?
Dancer.
I'm still leveling it up, so I don't know too much, but I know at least some of the skills.
I finally hit 80 on it just the other day, actually.
This dancer is not wearing any pants.
Why would
Let's
you
go
be a
beyond
dancer?
that and talk about the text.
I'm looking at the picture though.
It is pretty. I like her hair.
So the weapon skill effects such as Flourishing Cascade will now be shared across single target and AoE skills. So if I recall correctly, Flourishing Cascade is the fans?
Yeah, isn't it?
Am I right?
I thought that was the procs, not
That was the procs. Okay.
Yeah, so basically just reducing hotbar bloat.
Which is good, because I actually have a lot of fun with Dancer. They have lots of AoE, they have lots of single target, and I like the technical and single step dancing.
Alternatively, if it's not reducing hotbar bloat, it's going to be that the procs themselves you can spend either on single or AoE. Because right now, if you proc, let's say, off of your single target, you have to use that proc on single target. You can't use it on AoE and vice versa, which makes for some really awkward fights I've found when playing Dancer, because if you're running a dungeon and you're doing a large pull and you're sitting there with, full procs for your AoEs and you're down to one mob, it's kind of just like, oh, okay.
Well, great.
And
I guess I can look cool.
Same thing with the skill that allows you to just immediately have all of your procs running so you can dump the entire kitchen sink on the target. Like, that's an important part of your rotation, but it also means using AoE on a single target boss if you're going to use all your procs to try and get fans. So being able to use those procs on the single target skills instead would be nice.
The new actions available upon the execution of technical finish, improv, and devilment are nice too.
Yeah, it looks
Considering
really good.
how powerful technical finish is, having a continuation of that, that's nice.
I'm assuming that the continuation on technical finish was probably the no steps required standard finish that we see in the trailer.
Probably. Yeah, making Dancer have a button like continuation, that'd be sweet.
Magical range DPS. Upcoming adjustments. Addle will be changed to reduce magical damage dealt, and will also reduce physical damage dealt. Magical damage will be more potent. This is actually an interesting buff to Addle.
So it actually will be useful. You used it in a raid environment anyway, but this just kind of doubles its usefulness.
Yeah, you'll definitely be using it now, even in physical fights. That's cool. Black Mage. Bonnie.
Bonnie or Core.
I mean, The biggest thing really is just the Enochian, honestly. Like, I mean, Astral Fire and Umbral having swapping, like more options for swapping is always nice, but the biggest thing for me was just that they're making Enochian something you don't have to balance manually anymore, and I'm like, I guess people had enough trouble with that they felt like they wanted to make the job more accessible by making this change, and I'm just interested to see how it's going to play out now.
Honestly, as a non-main, Enochian is really hard to keep up, and that's part of the core gameplay and mastering the job.
Right. I've played it for years, so it kind of doesn't really register for me as much anymore. It seems much easier to recover from losing it than it used to be, but I guess that still wasn't enough.
Yeah, it's quite hard as a novice black mage to keep it up all the time. I mean, that's true about any ha ha ha.
Yes, ha ha.
It's true about anything. Like I even let dots fall off on Bard. It's like
right. Well, it's a little easier to keep dots up as Bard when you've got Iron Jaws, whereas I have to rely a lot more on Sharpcast.
Yeah,
it happens to everybody, guys.
Oh God. So from my perspective as someone who wasn't a Black Mage main but did have to raid part of this tier on Black Mage and learn the fights on Black Mage, Enochian isn't the worst thing to keep rolling in a savage fight, but your team can grief the hell out of you unintentionally if they decide to rescue you.
Yes. That is
and there's some other circumstances where you can lose Enochian without it being under your control whatsoever, which really, really sucks. So I do like the change. I'm wondering if it's a higher level trait though, or if it's going to be a change like immediately.
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say it's probably going to be an immediate blanket change to the skill, like to make it a trait.
Yeah, it could be. Also, I've noticed that server ticks can really screw you on keeping it up too.
Can. Yes, server ticks are the kind of thing that you have to spend a lot of time with the job to really like gauge how your spell speed helps you mitigate that to the extent you even can. So I'm certainly interested to see what it's going to be like in practice.
So, under certain conditions, swapping between Astral Fire and Umbral Ice will make new actions available. Are these those multi-element aspected spells we're seeing?
I'm guessing that's the case, yes. That should make things like Transpose more interesting, assuming that's even relevant.
Honestly, I kind of feel like they should remove Transpose and make it work.
Transpose still has its uses still, even at the end, but generally speaking, you're going to be using your Blizzards and your Fire 3s.
To get immediate 3 stacks and hearts?
Yes.
Yeah.
This should make that process more interesting too. It might actually add more steps to that initial change of rotation refresh. I'm interested to see how that will play out as well.
Red Mage. A new action will be available upon execution of Scorch. This is that laser sword thing.
Freaking laser beam.
Laser swords. Yeah. This was a good change as well. Verflare, Verholy, and Scorch are now AoEs. Probably, as we said during the live stream, high potency on the first target and reduced on the rest, just for balance reasons. But it would be really cool if they went full AoE. And it looks like they get a defensive party-wide also, which they lacked.
I just recently leveled Black Mage to 80, so I'm really happy that they got whatever that giant bubble was that we saw in the trailer. I'm happy that they're getting more supportive stuff other than, hey guys, I can be that res mage that you need in raids.
Yeah, res mage. That's the real name of the class.
Yes. Defensive party-wide enhancement. So I wonder what that means.
Say that you need in raids like Bozja doesn't exist.
Yeah, true.
But yes, I am curious about the defensive party-wide enhancement as well. I mean, obviously they already have the caster typical one.
Yeah.
I guess they're trying to lean into the idea of Red Mage being more utility and support among the casters than the other two, which is fine. I play Red Mage a fair amount. I could be down for that.
And before the defensive party-wide enhancement is just Blackest Night for red mages.
Reddest Night.
Yeah, please, new type, please.
Yeah, New Type says, can they nerf the visuals of Red LB3, please?
Just add an option in your options menu. Turn off Red Mage LB.
Yeah,
Sure.
No,
circle,
crank up the
nothing else.
brightness.
No.
Red LB small. Thinking like the Bahamut Eggy command to reduce Red Mage LB.
Anyways, back on Summoner. Significant changes to job mechanics. They literally got the machinist treatment that the machinist got in Shadowbringers, where
Summoner
they are
Reloaded.
literally an entirely new class.
You mean the treatment they get every expansion?
Yeah.
Pretty much. Although this one
Although
might
this
stick.
one's-
Oh, I was saying this one might
this
stick.
It
God
might,
damn it.
yeah, it might stick.
Who wants to go first?
Nilo.
Very well. I was just looking at this, and it's like I've played Summoner quite a bit when I was actually doing Eureka, which has been a long time. And then I didn't bother relearning it for Shadowbringers because I was like, it's too different. I spent so much time learning this, and Stormblood Summoner was, a page of your opener, basically. So it would be really nice for it to find an identity that fits and that works and to stick with it. And it looks really good. Like, we'll see how it plays, but it looks fantastic.
It really struck me as the class has gotten a new identity. It's a proper summoner, and probably the rotation is all shared buttons. I would imagine, like, if you pop Garuda out, then whatever attack does those moves is probably the same button that the Titan one does. Like the same key press. Does that make sense?
It does. Sarah, you had some stuff to say?
I am very happy primarily that they've even just added like Ifrit, Garuda, and Titan, and that hopefully that will be a precedent where they'll add even more primals for us to summon and totally go out of our way to prove Azem wrong about the idea of primal summoning being a bad idea.
So I want to add something about Summoner. I feel like since ARR, they've been saying, hey, we're looking for a way to let you summon Titan, Garuda, and Ifrit in the field, and it was intended to be like this big group content thing that we could use in Fates or something like that. And it feels like it's been scaled down specifically for Summoner in this case, and it took them 8 years, but they finally delivered on this, and I'm really happy to see it.
I mean, bottom line, it just looks like a much more entertaining job and a little bit more in tune with what it was apparently in FF11, which is good as far as I can tell. I actually have genuine interest for once in playing the job rather than just leveling it.
New Type had asked a few minutes ago, so does that mean no more pet action bar? If I recall, that's been removed since Shadowbringers.
Yep.
So there is no pet action bar at all. You don't position it, it's just there.
Yeah, you only get a few abilities to tell your pet to do.
Yep, and they don't have health bars either, so.
Yep. Yes, let's move on to the next one. Yeah, Carbuncles pretty much just kind of go away, and then the Eggy kind of shows up.
Carbuncle was present in the trailer, so it is going to be part of the job now. But
Yep. So the upcoming adjustments for healer. New actions that apply single target buffs will be added to each healer, so everyone gets an astro change. Woo! Cast time for offensive spells will be reduced, so those glare cast times, yep, you get to attack more often.
Yeah, looks can still kill.
so
The limit break area of effect will be expanded to 50 meters.
That's so big. So that is keeping us from using LB3 healer and not rezzing the party because the arena's too big. That happened all
Yeah,
the time.
that-
It's happened as far back as Alexander, honestly.
See, for that, you could be standing on one side of the arena and res someone on the other side of the arena.
Yeah.
And I'm not entirely for that, because if they're that far away, then maybe they don't deserve a res.
You'd like them to have to run Cinder as the healer to get everybody.
You say that, but I'm the black mage who's always like a mile away in Idaho, doing my thing. So like I'm usually the one that's like, come help me.
I personally hope they keep the animation the same and just let it hit further away, because I feel like if the animation's that big, you won't even be able to really see or enjoy it at all. And I would like to see if it's like, did you get the actual LB or did you get the Grace LB that Square's kindly handed you because you're off in Narnia?
That's
Like
really
I don't for a moment think, oh, we should go back to the old one, because I've missed people with the healer LB and it always feels so bad. But a little bit of me wants to smirk and be like, oh, you were kind of far away there, weren't you, buddy?
All right, what's the next one?
I really like the Astro art here.
I do too.
I'm
It's
really
very-
curious to see what Sage and Reaper's LBs are going to be actually.
Mm-hmm.
We will
I'm
see
all
the
about that.
launch trailer.
The
I'm half expecting the Sage one to be just giant new liths that like laser beam everyone into like.
Actually, I'm thinking we saw the LB3 for Sage in the trailer with what Alfie did.
Maybe. I was actually thinking, I was like, what if it's just a big box?
Oh, it's a box. Putting everybody in a box.
That's really funny.
Was that the Reaper LB? I hadn't heard that said. I did think, hey, that one could be a good candidate.
Yeah, Reaper LB3 was stated by the developers to be Xenos' attack in the trailer, the gameplay trailer. Yeah, he mentioned it. He said, I don't have time to show it to you or something, but go watch the thing. It's the one Xenos uses. He just straight up told us.
Okay.
Alrighty, let me move on.
Tank. Using defensive enhancements at optimal times will grant greater benefits. Adjustments to
Use your
ensure
cooldowns.
combos are not broken by ranged attacks. Meaning, whenever you're using an ability and you suddenly cast, let's say, Unleash or Unmend, not Unleash, but Unmend, or Shield Lob, that the combo is broken. None of that stuff anymore. There will be parity between the physical and magical damage. Yep, same thing as before.
Oh, so they're saying that your physical weapons won't suck if something has good physical resistance.
So basically, just a lot more homogenization and encouragement to use your cooldowns.
See, I like things like this where it's like, we want you to do more of this, so we're going to give you an incentive for doing it instead of, I don't know, punishing you for not doing it.
Right. Yeah, it's a carrot rather than a stick.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on.
New type says, I see a lot of people missing using CDs because they want the added buff. My assumption would be that using defensive enhancements when they get hit, maybe something like the Darkest Night, the Blackest Night breaking. I would assume it's along those lines, not just hold on to it until some arbitrary situation is met, but rather you will be given good feedback for using it when it's necessary and important.
Provoke in the middle, as used as an OG CD. I'll be the first to admit that I've done it, but only when someone has decided to, hey, I want to pull a second or third group.
Yeah.
Oh, you went back.
Yeah, sorry.
White Mage, a functionally and visually distinct restorative field action will be added. So that light well that we saw. And we're still not quite sure what it does, but when they healed, it kind of resonated. So Diurnal Sect on Astrologian and Nocturnal will be removed, and basic healing actions will be adjusted to have the same effects as they would have while under Diurnal. Hear that? Nocturnal Sect sucked.
Nobody
Diurnal
really
also.
used it. I mean, we used it because we had to when we prepared with a white mage, but that was it.
And the effect of divination will be changed, and the seals used for new enhancements applied to self.
That's a nice
Neat.
change. I'm looking forward to seeing more about Gravity 2 and that Star Shower that we saw as well.
Mostly the Star Shower.
Yes. Delicious.
Star Shower applies PTSD to everyone in your party.
Exactly.
Cast it to awaken NPCs and give them the echo, if only.
Exactly.
All right. A unique job action which can enhance the party's mood. Yeah, this is what we saw in the job trailer,
Peloton.
where it just kind of it's Peloton for Scholar.
So Scholar gets Swift Song, bastards.
This is their consolation prize relative to Summoner getting like a whole new redo.
He wanted a flower. Here's a Peloton.
Go figure.
Sage possesses
Sage.
all the actions essential for a barrier healer, able to attack enemies and heal designated party members simultaneously. So that's an interesting one. Draws upon unique resources for healing enhancements and detect magic. So able to attack enemies and heal the designated party member simultaneously. I'm not sure if that means just like however much you attack the enemy for, they get healed for that amount. Whether that means, or they just apply a regen over the person that they designate as their target, and when they attack, they regain so much health like that.
It actually makes me think of the Astrologian skill Sinistry, where you place a buff on a player, and then every time you use a healing skill on someone, it also heals that player. You could do the same thing, except place the buff on, say, the tank, and then attack the enemy, and every attack does a certain amount of healing or whatever. That would be what my mind first goes to, though. Who knows how that's
right. Yeah, that was my thought as well.
And draws upon unique resources for healing and enhancements. So we see that on the bar right there. But we saw it kind of fill up automatically as it went, and we saw the resources being spent as they attacked and as they used shields and such. But everything's kind of unclear at this point. They haven't shown too much. I'm sure we'll get more information as the embargo lifts.
I just wanted to go ahead and notify Bonnie apparently just had an issue with her earbuds, so she may be off for the rest of the stream, but if she comes back, I'm sure we will hear her.
So what you're saying is Bonnie's gone talk crap about it.
Battle adjustments.
Adjustments to Raid Finder matching for Savage duties. Parties will include one pure healer and one barrier healer. That's interesting. So
Does
I
this
wonder,
job lock you to the two jobs, or can you?
Well, because they said that the Astrologian would be moved to a pure healer.
Right.
And so now they have a distinction between the two types of healing classes now.
They seem to want to create some kind of parity whereby there will always be a white mage or astrologian and a sage or scholar.
Yes, what Bahamut said. Raid finder, not duty finder.
Oh, fair point. Fair point.
That's a good distinction to make.
So it may, for most, it really won't apply, but for the ones who really want to get into in-game content through the raid finder, this you have to kind of be aware of this.
I wonder if they'll break things down further for other classes, because it could be handy, but I don't know if it's really necessary.
Yeah.
And obviously, in regular content, you can have 2 barrier healers, you can have 2 pure healers. It'll be fine. I'm curious to know if Sage and Scholar barriers are going to interfere in the same way Nocturnal Sect used to.
A new option for players who have yet to receive weekly completion rewards will be added. That's good for people who couldn't make raid night and made it later. Search results who no longer include parties you cannot join due to the 1 player per job requirement.
Oh, it won't even show them. That's handy.
Duty reward adjustments. Trials with weapon drops will now drop a weapon coffer in addition to the original weapon reward. That's very rewarding.
Yeah, that's
Indeed.
giving it the savage treatment.
Just makes things more comfortable, especially considering that we have a lot of different jobs now.
Extremely.
They kind of needed to do something like this to try and help.
The 4th turn of a high-end raids released up through 3.x will now drop a weapon coffer in addition to the original weapon reward. So, just like Colrat said, Glam Addicts rise up, you now get double your weapons. High-end raids up through 4x will now drop gear and accessories in the form of coffers, as just like in Eden Savage.
It should make it much easier to farm the good looks.
Yes.
HUD updates. Woo!
Additional enhancements can now be separated as new separate category in the HUD layout. Finally, conditional enhancements referred to as proc type buffs. This new category is in addition to the present enhancements, enfeeblements, and is other categories such for status effects.
This is going to be so useful, honestly.
Yes, I'm glad they use Black Mage spells as well as the example here, because that really spells out for me the difference.
Yeah, exactly.
Handy.
Improved ground targeting functionality.
New settings added for character configuration menu. Press action button again to place target circle. Prevent cursor from moving beyond ground targeting range. So the only time I really had to use that was with, not Blackest Night, was with Salted Earth, and I had a macro for that. But I still used it on occasion by myself, manually, and I really didn't have a problem with it, but apparently this will make it a lot easier for some people.
I will enjoy it, yeah. I've mostly used macros to drop AoEs because I'm not good at playing this game. So that'll be very nice.
Warrior damage up effects can now be triggered and extended by AoE combos. So that's nice. Onslaught and Upheaval. Onslaught and Upheaval will no longer drain the beast gauge. Upheaval drained a lot. And Onslaught, of course, I think that was the gap closer, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. But I only played a little bit of Warrior. I did it with my minimum idle static a long time ago. A new action will be available upon the execution of inner release. We saw that as the kind of flippy decimate.
The like quadra somersault slam.
Yeah. Fell cleave go burr.
Fellas cleave go burr.
Miscellaneous battle adjustments. Display party members' target when casting. Easier to discern which target your allies are attacking, reviving, etc.
Yeah, nobody will have to. We'll see less rezzing the same person 4 times.
Finally.
Health bars will be displayed even when incapacitated. This was previously available through the always display setting, but now will be the case when using default when HP is below 100% setting.
And I like the image they use.
Yeah. Is that a Lala?
It should be.
I think that's Yoshida's character, actually.
Fair.
And I was
Bet he
right
feels
either
that
way.
Unreal trials will be temporarily removed. They will be reintroduced in 6.1. That's fine.
Ooh. I didn't see that one. Okay.
Belts will no longer be equipable or obtainable via duties and item exchanges. Belts equipped by player characters and retainers, as well as those in the armory chest, will be given to the Calamity Salvager and can be retrieved individually, though I do not know why you would want to retrieve the belts.
Apparently so that you can desense them or sell them.
Yeah, so turn them into things that you meant to do but forgot to do because you're like me and forget to do things.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
They don't want you to feel stolen from. You stole my belt materia. Like that. That might be one.
Something like that. Yeah.
Okay. A ring serving as a substitute for the speed belt obtained in Eureka will be implemented. Okay. Speed belts in your possession can be exchanged after the release of 6.0.
Speed belts.
Turn in your belts, guys.
Make haste.
Basically, yeah.
Bring out your belts.
Alright, belt removal continued. Oh boy. Available only before 6.0. Materia extraction, buying, selling, leave, turn in. Supply missions turn in, use of coffers containing only belts. After 6.0, materia retrieval, sale to shop, desynth, expert turn in, and discarding.
I think I'll go with the fourth option.
Yeah, probably.
Yes, make belts into a weapon.
They had to specify that we could put them in the trash. Discarding.
I mean,
what do you think happens to all the belts that you, or all the things that you just discard? You just throw them on the ground?
They go into Final Fantasy X.
I believe there's a Stormblood S rank that's spawned that way by discarding things from your inventory over this chasm. So that seems like a reasonable assumption that yes, they just get tossed on the ground.
Okay.
The difference in gear attributes from levels 50 to 80 will be reduced. Overall hit points and damage values will be reduced. Potency of meals, medicine, and materia will be reduced. Adjustments to maintain balance with consideration to downscaling of various systems will be made. This is the stat crunch. It's about time. What is this? Expansion 4 after A Realm Reborn. So this is about the time when MMOs do a stat crunch.
No more
this is
200k hits.
Yeah, alas, you will hit for 4,000.
And
I
like,
think the highest I saw in the live letter, Yoshi P on what is it on Summoner, probably Reaper or whatever, hit for probably as high as 40k.
Whew. When using the undersized party option, the enhanced echo effect will be applied to bring the difficulty balance in line with previous patches. Enhancement strength will vary by duty level. EXP will be downscaled. Basically, everything that requires downscaling will be downscaled.
hopefully they don't forget anything. Not really worried.
Certain items will no longer be obtainable as high quality, prevents the unintended procurement of high quality items via gathering and other activities, reducing overall inventory bloat. Woo! Also, Midnight Korath, don't you dare.
Kolrath says Kingdom Hearts is actually one of the shards, didn't you know? Now I want Goofy as a trust member. Oh boy. Gathered items are no longer going to HQ. Enemy drops don't HQ, token exchange don't HQ, and non-craftable materials obtained from certain content. They'll still be HQ from 6.0, but will not increase crafting quality nor provide bonuses upon delivery. Interesting.
And
So
if you weren't already aware, you can right-click an item and decrease the quality if you need to stack it. So, assuming you wind up with some of this after 6.0, that's how to fix it.
Does this basically mean they're removing high quality as a concept?
No, as the second side goes into it a bit.
Crafted items can be HQ'd, but the materials don't help with that.
So this is to prevent inventory bloat when you are out gathering and you get that random high quality almond seed and you don't need it or want it, but it's there and you wind up making it low quality anyway. This is to reduce that.
So they're basically making it so you don't need HQ mats. You can still make HQ with it.
Right. It's only for inputs, not outputs, as far as crafting goes, but this is also something that is going to impact crafting and endgame crafting, because now it's going to be harder to get that 100% HQ without any HQ inputs.
Yeah, I wonder how they're going to adjust crafting. I assume they'll make it a
I have
little
nothing to say.
easier. You have a lot to say, and you're biting it back. Is
Dark
what that
Night,
means.
salted earth will now affect the area immediately around you. So you're not placing the pie anymore. You've just been auto-macroed to your current location.
You are now the salt shaker.
Yep, you are the salt shaker. Your simulacra, your shadow clone will also gain a new action when you require one of the new. Your shadow gets the same thing you do, and you still don't actually use any abilities. It's just a bunch of ghost auto attacking.
I feel like the amount of salt I've seen from most Dark Knights after seeing the job trailer, that's the reason it's around them and not around their target.
Right. Yeah, Backburner says most people macroed it anyway. That's true-ish. I mean, it's easier to macro it. So they just made that the system. I will say, I don't know if Ayumi has ever said this, but I would like the clone to copy your abilities, so at least you feel like you're commanding it. That would be cool.
It's too random.
Wait, what? These in a weird order still? Yeah, okay.
Interesting.
Actions and attributes that affected HQ yields when gathering will be adjusted, primarily changed to affect item yield. So those HQ abilities for your gatherers will disappear. They will be disappeared. Further making gathering easily accessible, and everybody should have all level 90 everything. Quests, challenge log entries, and achievements requiring HQ. Yeah. Teleport fees recalculated. The Ethernet UI. Quality of life.
Progress towards Fisher's intuition will remain even after logging out. That's interesting.
Was
Due
that
to the
shadow
urgent
in the
need
water?
Yep. Due to the urgent need to address server congestion, the data center travel system is scheduled for implementation after patch 6.0.
The
Yeah.
stepping back a little about the teleportation costs and changes. I think there's some lore to be gleaned from the fact that teleporting to the first from Eorzea costs a little less than teleporting to the east to Hingashi and the like. Because that kind of implies that by the ethereal currents we travel, physically located in the same place on a different shard is still pretty darn close.
Yeah, it's a phase shift. I mean, one could argue as to whether that would actually take more energy than teleporting to the other side of the planet, but
Or the moon.
the lore says it's easier, as long as you can, I guess.
It's just interesting, yeah. Breaking that barrier is basically impossible for almost everyone, but when you can, boy, it's just easy.
I like how you still have to pay the invisible god's gil.
Yep.
Actually, I wonder if there'll be, you know how you can go to, if you didn't know people, you can go to the circus trench and click on a little thing to just teleport directly to the ocular and vice versa from the ocular to the trench if you don't want to use the teleportation. I wonder if they'll do something similar for the moon that we can use to like cheese the cost a little.
Yeah, just be like, I'm going to hop in my spaceship now to save a gil or two. Which,
Yeah.
I mean, I use the ocular trench system all the time to save money.
It's also kind of fun for role play if you're into that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's like, hey, Graha, I'm going to make use of your mirror at any time I want.
Now I just want to be able to use it to look at other places like he could.
Hey, more tank stuff. Gunbreaker. Savage Claw and Wicked Talon will now swap with Gnashing Fang on the hotbar, reducing the number of inputs. Continuation will be able to use the following Burst Strike. Interesting. A trait will raise the maximum number of cartridges to 3, so you have 3 bullets instead of 2.
3 cartridges, 3 times the boom.
Melee adjustments.
Fate's effect will be changed to reduce physical damage dealt. So basically, it gets the same effect as Addle. Adjustments will ensure combos are not broken by ranged attacks.
Thanks, Zodiac.
And parity, same thing as before.
The faint thing is actually really nice because there's many times when I'm raiding that I'm like, hey, can I help with this? The tank buster, the tank just died to. Is there anything I can do? They're like, no, it's magical. I'm like, damn it.
So this reduces useless buttons on both magical and physical. It's really nice that they tweak
Yeah,
both classes.
it's a
both
good change.
sets.
Retains some specialty, but still gives flexibility.
Mm-hmm. Adjustments will ensure combos are not broken by ranged attacks. So if you have one, like NP, it won't kill your combo anymore.
Yep.
There will be parity between the physical and magical damage attributes of weapons of the same item level. Yeah. So they're just doing this for easy math. It's part of their stat squish is normalizing the weapon damage.
Next
Monk,
one.
You get chakras earlier. When conditions are fulfilled, perfect balance will allow for the execution of masterful blitz. Yay!
You recalled it.
The available blitz changes depending on the weapon skills used when under the effects of perfect balance. So you got to do the right inputs if you want that.
Monk became a Marvel vs. Capcom character. Got it.
Dragoon, AoE rotation will be expanded. It's already... is it 3?
It's 3, now it's 4.
Yep.
That's quite a lot.
Got a 4th one, which will be fun.
A new action will be available on successful execution of weapon skill. This is
the
ride and thrust, but for...
That's the one.
And also, they didn't mention it on this slide, but there's also some kind of Gears Kugel Nastrand-like thing with the 2 dragons, red and blue. I'm very intrigued by that.
The red and blue. I wonder if that has some significance
I
in
wonder.
this one.
Samurai.
Backburner says make AoE available earlier. Please, please,
Yeah.
please. They probably won't, but I can wish.
I can wish to, yeah, totally.
I get
the
into a
effects-
fruity dungeon and the tank pulls a huge amount, and I'm like, this is cool.
Effects granted by Jinpu and Shifu can also be applied via AoE combos. So before you had to do single target combos in order to get your Jinpu and Shifu buffs available. Now it can be applied via the AoE combos, which is so much nicer. And a new action in the veins of Iai Jutsu and Tsubame Gaishi will be available.
Super Midare.
Man, that's all the way back to
That's
the beginning.
Yep. So that.
So
is the
we have
slides.
area stuff to talk about, actually.
Yes, I'll pull those images up. Go ahead and fill the air, and I'll get that started.
So you noticed that while we were talking about in the trailer that we were talking about all the actions and all of the implications behind them, that we are also talking about the areas behind all of the characters doing their attacks. So we went ahead and took some screenshots. We went ahead and got the screenshots that were from the live letter, and we just went ahead and want to theorize a few things with you guys. See what you think. See what we think. What all is going to be entailed with them.
And a big thanks to Bonnie. She's having technical issues as well as not feeling great today, but she threw a bunch of these together for us. So thank you, Bon.
If we want to start with the speculation, my guess is that I'm hoping that we get a mount-sized version of the Ragnarok ship.
That would be awesome.
That would
That'd
be
be cool.
Just an Allegan motorbike that looks
Man,
like
that would
be
sick.
That would be so cool, yeah.
So this one.
Ah,
Rip.
I'm actually sitting here mentally counting the zones because I'm sure there's one that hasn't been revealed, but
Oh, there is definitely one that hasn't been revealed.
You can just play that side. Yeah.
Yeah, like right here, yeah, the halo feeling, definitely. But also, like, I want to go inside the building and look around every inch.
Oh yeah. And symbolically, this zone is like interesting to me because we have a sharp and stark contrast of light and dark. The moon being very, very pale, space beyond being very, very dark. It's not like any kind of a cozy blend of like harmony between light and dark. No, we have this stark delineation.
It's a great contrast, and I'm really looking forward to going this zone. And I really think that this zone is actually going to be fairly early in the expansion, actually in the first third of the expansion after we get to Garlemald.
That Aetherite, it's not the same as the one in the Tempest, but it is very similar.
It's stylistically similar.
Yeah, everything here is very, very similar to Amarod, but it's not an exact one-to-one. It has some subtle differences.
Well, first of all, the Aetherite there that we're seeing is far smaller than the one that we see in Amarod.
Mm-hmm.
I disagree. I think that building is much larger than you guys think it is. I will bet you. Well, okay, I see what you're saying. Maybe it's a perspective thing. I think it's maybe further away. The Dragoon. There's this line, this horizon line right behind the Dragoon. I think that's a cutaway.
It seems more mortal-sized, but it's still big. And it's stylistically slightly off from what we saw.
I would bet that if we're standing full height, we probably reach the top of those, the pillars around the
mini
Aetherite.
pillars.
I mean, we've seen the player character next to the building, and they did go out on the balcony and fly off. So we do have a sense of scale for it.
Yeah, and the doors are humongous.
It's a little bit sized.
I would say it's original ancient size.
That's my expectation.
This one. So again, we have that really suspicious glow in the background.
Geodude.
Mm-hmm.
And-
Zodiark, are you bleeding? Do you need triage?
Mm-hmm. Actually, I think he's 8 rejoinings later, starting to crack out his shell.
Once the rejoining of worlds is complete, Zodiark will shatter his prison.
Mm-hmm.
So the actual castle itself is reminiscent of another thing from 4, I believe, Val, right?
Yeah, it's not nearly as massive a structure. The Final Fantasy IV Citadel on the Moon was much more of a crystal tower kind of scenario. Maybe not in height, but just the sense of scale. But once you went inside, it was just a crystal palace where an entire new set of crystals were around the different shrines. And it opened a door to the center of the moon. So this being the 4, 9, 10 expansion, expect something like that. I hope that I'll be very excited, even if it's like a straight rip. I just want to see something like that. But yeah, this
very heavy
palace
4 vibe.
Very heavy 4. I mean, they gave us the minions. This is not accidental. We're going to the moon. We even have our naming ways, which are the Loporits.
So next one.
Just responding to Nidvaler. Yeah. Bigger on the inside. There's the source.
Yep.
We can see the 3 great continents, Oldenard, Ilsapard, and Mericidia there.
Yes.
That's true.
And we see the strip in the background.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
It's very Allegan.
Which some people say that that's the ship we take to get there. I think it's a ship that got there during the Allegan era.
Same.
And then the Alcians were like, nope, and killed them all.
See, we know they're capable of going into space because we know that they floated Dalamud into space. They knew that they could harness the energies of Bahamut and the sun and bring it down into the crystal tower for energy. So they had to have a means to go back and forth to do maintenance, all that. So does that mean the moon could have existed then too?
Yeah.
I mean, yes, it would.
Of course. So I wonder if they made contact with them.
They probably did, but it was probably more of a manipulation, I think. I'm sure that one of the Asians said, hey, we need to get some stuff to the moon. Let's point the Alligans in that direction. Once they get there, head them off. They lose contact, and then the Alligan Empire will like, well, the moon's too dangerous. We're never going back there again.
Yeah, I could totally see a situation where Emmett is like able to manipulate that situation and make it so that it seems too dangerous and not worthwhile.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is the
And
art.
the fact that there are those kinds of enemies on the moon too, the ones that scare Bonnie.
So this is the art for the moon base.
What I find interesting is that there are multiple structures in this image.
Yes.
Indeed. And we haven't seen we saw a render of it previously, but we haven't actually seen it in the job trailers. They've angled or framed things so that we wouldn't see it.
Yeah, they've been very intentional with the camera angles that they've been using on Mare Lamentorum.
I actually am curious. I mean, it's an interesting. I have no idea, right? But this structure below the source, it kind of, it's not where the main house is, where we've seen chairs and books and concepts stored. Like, the big structure is clearly the house, if you were to make a comparison to living space. And this other piece here, I wonder if it's a doorway to go down into the crevice. That's my thought.
My first thought looking at it was elevator, so I would see it.
Yeah, like elevator, exactly. And you see the 3 pillars there, the 3 white stones?
Yeah.
I mean, 3 is a key number in this series, so I'm immediately thinking of the Unsundered.
Also, if you look, it's probably more, I don't know if you have to expand the art or look on the render, but there's like very generally person-shaped things between it on the small structure there.
Mm-hmm.
And it almost makes me wonder if they designed it such that to actually go inside, you need to have all 3 of the Unsundered or their office, their job stones.
No, I don't think that they would require that. I honestly believe that this is enough of an out-of-the-area way that their arrogance almost would prevent them from thinking that anyone could even reach that, because they wouldn't think the Unsundered Sundered capable of getting here.
I mean, you say that, and then there's a spaceship of their design.
But I still attribute that to Asian influence.
Well, their arrogance basically allowed for that to happen, even with the planning.
What I want to know is the floating rocks. What's causing them to float?
It's interesting, actually. In this, they look much more rock-like, but in the trailer that we just got, they look very, like, not bright, glowy, shiny crystal, but much more crystal, much less rock.
Does anybody see the face on the building?
Yeah, I see a face. Old man, maybe a wizard.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I see. Yep.
Yay, Garlemald! So you all probably remember during the Stormblood trailer, we saw a massive lightning storm as it briefly hovers over Garlemald. I know that Fandaniel and Xenos have built on this concept, but I think the tower has been there the whole time. What do you guys think?
Oh, look, it's my boy.
If the tower was there the whole time, that would certainly explain a few things about why Emmett decided to develop Garlemald as the current empire.
Yeah, I
on the
expect
seat
it's
of power
I
or
think there
Leyland
was
or
a
something.
tower there to begin with, but not the outside. The outside is completely different from, I would say, from what it normally looked like.
I'm also not sure it was that tall, but we'll see.
Yeah, I think
that building hatched.
Fandaniel made the building hatch, basically.
Also, they said in some of the dialogue that like all of the Garleans were constructing bits and pieces of it using debris.
Kefka's tower.
And that's what I thought too. I do recall somewhere in some of the dialogue that they were mindlessly collecting debris and then using it to fortify the tower.
So
I think Ryle said something about it.
So has anyone seen the Castlevania Netflix series?
No.
No, but I want to.
Sorry, it's a minor spoiler. There is a scene where this entire town gets taken over by this weird wizard guy, and he makes them like basically work themselves to death building this giant tower, and it just reminded me of that.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
And so I just see like the citizens of Garlemald tempered and working themselves to death.
Yeah, pretty much.
Seems logical.
And I'm sorry, I keep getting cut off by the Alexa, but yeah, basically they are tempered to the point where they are working themselves to death to build this tower, and then basically discarded.
Well, they've served their purpose at that point.
Exactly.
Makes you wonder what happened to them afterwards.
Yeah, and I mean they're gonna die anyway, so just letting them work themselves to death would be a kindness.
While brain dead.
Exactly.
I'm still wondering what the heck happened to Nerva and his people. Like, if that's all of them, and what happened to him
I think
specifically.
he got off-screen, honestly.
I really hope not, because I want to like be able to meet him and have him be a juxtaposition to Xeno.
Kolrath says, Rad's at hand looks Ghibli as fuck.
It does. It also
Yeah.
looks very dangerous to live at.
Mm-hmm.
Just
Yes.
don't be clumsy or fall.
Yeah,
ever.
especially during like the calamity of Earth, I would hate to be like the guy who lives in the house that's like 3 rickety planks off the edge of the
The
cliff.
very top
Oh.
left.
Oh,
Yeah.
jeez.
No, that's the plank that they make you walk if you annoy them too much.
Oh yeah, I see the plank. That's
So yeah,
funny.
that's the one at the bottom left of the area.
Maybe
but,
that's
like,
the airship
house,
dock.
Yeah, the house in
Probably.
the top left that's like 5 houses over
Ah,
from
yeah.
the edge of the cliff.
Nah, I don't
That's a
want to
long
live
way
there.
down.
Don't have children in this city.
Maybe they're trying to just force themselves to learn flying magic.
Mm-hmm. I love the confluence of rivers here. And forest. You know, I hate to bring this back to real life, but I mean, what is the economy of this city? Just like trade the end? Is this...
They seem to be big on alchemy and
They
production.
sell dances and awesome outfits.
And they have a fantastic market in dyes and paints too.
They get all of their food elsewhere.
And scale powder. And also they have several dungeons beneath the ground in their island, continent, whatever you want to call it, that are full of treasure. So they have lots of gold.
They make
That's
a
true.
brisk trade in artifacts.
Yeah,
I could
that's
see
fair.
tourism being big too, actually. That's part of why they make the city so beautiful, to attract people to visit.
For anyone new to the game, treasure hunting in Stormblood, all of the Thavnair and Uznair dungeons filled with gold.
You saying they have an El Dorado?
Yeah, it's all over the place. Apparently there are direct flights from underwater zones in Stormblood. Little pink portals bring you over there.
Right. What's the next one? Thavnair again?
So yeah, we have the Reds at hand, and then we have the actual Thavnarian zone.
Mm-hmm.
Look
I
how
really love this zone.
spread out
Yeah.
all of these buildings are. Like,
Yeah.
They're not in one place. They're below, they're above, they're on top.
It's definitely riotous, and not in an inherently bad way, though I know some people are going to find it a bit much.
I love it. I'm really excited to visit. We haven't had a zone themed this way, and I know, you know, a lot of people play games like this for the like theme park element of what's the next new zone. I'm very much on that boat for this zone.
I'm wondering what all that purple crystal is in the background.
I was going to say, I want to go fly to it and stand on it. I don't know if we'll be able to, but I want to go at least fly near it.
It is very curious. It looks like a natural formation, but it's also very suspicious. And
They also have like this purple, like it's not like It's almost like residue on the rock that you see in various screenshots.
Yeah.
Yeah, like striations, deposits.
You can kind of see it in the top right there on the cliff.
I believe some later screenshots will show it better too. Lots of water in the area too. Sort of a lagoony, maybe, area. Alex, the Swan Guy, says the desolate chapel in the middle bottom reminds me of Ilmeg's Lake. Same, actually, now that you pointed out. Yeah, I believe it's the same stuff as the giant skull weapons you could get at 50 way
Yeah,
back in the day.
giant skull. That's right.
So I've already handled it some.
You have.
There was a time that was actually a good weapon back when that was a long time ago.
Very long time ago, but yes.
Sorry about that. Looks like I opened that picture twice.
We'll let you.
Yeah, I'm also extremely curious about the purple crystal because we've seen blue crystal all over the place for aetherites, but we now have this purple crystal. The blue crystal reminiscent of Heidelin. Now we have the purple crystal, which is reminiscent to me of Zodiark. So I'm kind of wondering, is there another kind of Aethernet crystal that we haven't seen yet?
Yeah,
It would be interesting.
Cough syrup
Which is
crystal. Yes.
literally rampant speculation on my part, but it's just something that, the colors match up for me. So
Here's
I'm curious.
What's interesting to me, all the crystal dropped by or the majority, I should say, of the crystal dropped by the Summit of Calamity was that orangish, the corrupted crystals, which could be
Yes,
different
right.
aspects, but they all kind of look the same.
So
This one's very visually distinct, so I wonder if it
yeah.
might come from a different Calamity.
So maybe I know that Yoshi P explained that the orange crystal was the Aether of Phoenix, and that's why it's orange.
I see where you're going with the Bahamut thing. Okay, now I'm following you.
Yeah. So it just might be what kind of ether is it charged with? Bahamut, being unaspected darkness.
Well,
purple crystal.
I don't know what Phoenix was aspected per se, but they all came out the same color, so
Right,
maybe you can't tell just by looking.
It's possible. Needy stole his aetherite. Phaliax home, Charlayan.
Bonnie says, if I remember correctly, Giant's Gall myth is that a giant died on Thavnair and bled out into the land, changing some of the terrain. Smells like a calamity.
I find this art interesting because when we look at the city in the trailer, there's all these statues everywhere, and here I don't really see them. And I mean, I guess it could be the general blobs on the central building, but otherwise, I don't know.
Or this could be after all the
Topple
new
'em.
Terminus bees toppled them all over.
God.
This is such a pristine city. I am excited.
Or maybe we toppled them. I don't know.
The aesthetic is really very nice.
It's very pleasing. It's like, obviously there's Greek influence, but it's very Tolkien-esque. It's like very Lord of the Ringsy in this art.
Yeah, I see where you're thinking with the giant statues.
But also the domes and the circular nature and the trees and the lush and the perfect water.
With how close-minded some of the Charlians are, in the trailer, with all of the sailboats coming in and out, it makes me wonder just how open they are now to trade and influences from the outside.
Well,
So I want to find out.
There's one thing to consider. This is the main island, but they have a few satellite islands where they're also doing stuff. So they could have outsiders not welcome, but still have a lot of back and forth between the islands, perhaps.
Yeah, true. Like an internal network of trade and livelihood. Yeah, it's really cool.
I'm excited. And of course, they have that giant library.
Labyrinthos.
If I could actually go in there and read the books, I would just never leave. It'd be bad. I haven't you finished Endwalker. Hold on, let me finish this page.
So this Labyrinthos. What do we think?
I just
Doomsday Bunker.
Yeah, Doomsday Bunker, sure.
Definitely.
There's actually openings if you look. there are openings in the top where the stuff goes through.
Yep, it's a fake sky and a fake sun, and
I
it's
wanna know-
basically meant to simulate the real upper surface world, but isn't.
I want to know exactly where it's located. Like underground, okay, there's a lot of ground to be under.
There is.
I just wanted to notate, I mentioned this before when we were discussing various other things, but like this is the nation state that built Baldesian Arsenal, and they have access to this kind of structure. Regardless of what you might think about Charlian, closed-mindedness, people are jerks, etc., their technological and just knowledge is astounding.
Is that the aetheryte at the bottom left?
Yeah, I was just pointing that out. There's an itty bitty aetheryte. If you zoom in, you can see it's kind of like the ones. I think it's the ones in Stormblood, the
There.
Garabanian zone.
So that would be the entrance, and then the elevator down.
Yep. So right by Koberon's avatar's head.
Yep, it gets its own plaza.
That's the size of an
Itty-bitty,
aetheryte.
right?
A real big one, I'm guessing. And look at all this.
It's going to make a good hub city, I think, definitely.
You know, here's an interesting question. I'm seeing a lot of waterfalls here. We commented on it before, but looking here, I'm like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 6. Where is all that water going? It goes to the bottom and question mark?
There's a ring at the bottom, ring of water at the bottom, and a raised platform.
So, Imaginary World says, might it be on the moon?
Possible.
I feel like they told us it was underground in the Charlian area, but
They
I
didn't-
could
yeah,
be
they
wrong.
said underground, but they didn't say where.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like they'd said, but I might be insane.
The reason I don't think it's on the moon is because the technology that we see and the architecture that we see so closely mirrors Charlan, and it's not advanced enough to be ancient. And I don't know why they would need an underground bunker on the moon. They would just dig down to Zodiac to say hey and hang out, kind of like the anti-tower.
It is a cool concept.
Not to mention, would the Asians even allow them the time and necessary resource transfer to build on the moon?
I
Yeah,
honestly
probably
don't
not.
think they do. I think there's a reason Elidibus was just standing out on the ground. They don't need it. They don't have the time for that. I don't think that structure that some people have stated, oh yeah, Elidibus hung out there. I'm like, I don't think he did.
Yeah, Alex, I would assume that they would simulate their own weather conditions.
Yes, agreed. 4
Alex
o'clock
had
is rain
said,
hour.
Could it be that this zone will have its own weather? And that was the response to that.
Yes, but I believe it'll all be simulated.
Like you
In
go
a
to the
world-
Skywatch, and the Skywatch is like, we have rain scheduled for a half hour from now.
Yep. It'll be like Demolition Man.
So I wanted to ask what the difference would be between a weather pattern that was simulated in a world with magic and a real weather pattern.
How much work you have to put in? I'm honestly not sure.
Yeah.
You would put rain clouds on the little panels to kind of simulate, an approaching storm, and you
Yeah.
turn on the sprinklers.
Yeah, exactly. Turn on the sprinklers. Except the sprinklers are, in the panels. The end.
Pretty much.
Hey guys, we are now on the Chrono Trigger screen.
Oh yeah, it's Zeal. I want to hear the Glockenspiel. So, I see a little bit of purple popping here. So I'm guessing that that's probably where the Bard and White Mage footage was shot, kind of on the edge of one of these islands.
Yep. Very
And,
likely. In fact, there's
yeah.
a purple tree, center left top
Yep.
island.
Yep, and that's probably where it was, pointing away from the middle, so we didn't get anything. But I see this very much being like a Sea of Cloud zone, only more nightmarish to get Aether Currents in.
I
It's
actually
definitely going to be interesting. Go
I
ahead.
wonder if they're just going to give us jump portals like in Diadem. Sploing.
Yeah, I think this is going to be like ancient level technology.
If it's ancient level, I would expect like teleportation pads. Step on it and just
Yeah.
sort of like actually was done in Diamond Weapon.
And in Chrono
Yes.
Trigger.
I also
And
have to
Chrono
go. Sorry. I have to go off a bit on this central building that's just to the left of central here. I think it looks a lot like our moon structure. Not identical, but very, very similar. It's got the two building setup. It's got one that's bigger, one that's narrower. If you put them next to each other, it looks really similar. Even the gold accent, silver accent lines up with our moon structure.
Yeah.
I do wonder if we're going to just teleport to the moon via something like this. I don't know.
Yeah,
That's just a
like
guess at this point.
Maybe that's what that little building was for.
Possibly. Anyway, whatever the case, I find it very suspicious and I am staring incredibly hard at it.
There are a lot. So there's islands with not structured. There's islands with structures on them, and there's islands with just trees on them and water. You see the one up top?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
That one just has a tree on it with a giant waterfall.
But we also have the one on the far left, which is just a giant tree.
Just a tree.
Which is just as interesting to me.
Something about the bowl, the world tree.
I was going to say, yeah. Wasn't there another mention of something in 9 called the leaf tree?
Yes.
Aoife tree, 2 eyes,
Aoife
but
tree.
it's hard to tell because capital I looks like lowercase l. That's the thing. If people aren't familiar with 9, and obviously spoilers for a very old game, but basically the Terrans were trying to invade this planet and take over and make their life and put their crystal in place. It went wrong, and now they have the Aoife tree, which basically filters out the native life and supplants theirs into the I don't think it's actually specifically a life stream, but into the crystal, which is what feeds into rebirth.
Yeah, it was kind of like the Ascian plan, but evil.
It's definitely painted as morally incorrect, though. It was also another one of those survival versus survival narratives, because their
Exactly.
planet was dying. In the past, they'd taken baby planets and had no problem. There were no baby planets, so they went for a young one, and it went very badly.
Yeah, in that case, though, their home planet was not the planet that they were on, and so they were very much invaders in that, not
It's
trying to
fully
reclaim.
invader parasite thing.
Yeah.
Their
That's
options were
interesting,
die
yeah.
off on their old planet or take over a new one.
Yeah, in a war of survival, it doesn't matter, right? Like you just
Yeah.
you
Like,
do
of
what you
course it's
can, and
wrong, but
then-
you're going to try and survive. That's natural.
correct. Yeah, it's just you have to do what you can, and if you lose, that's the way it went.
hmm It
Is
was one of the
anybody-
nice things about the themes of 9, because there were some created beings of that that then learned and sort of transcended their beginnings, I would say. Well, the one.
I wanted to ask if anybody has any thoughts on the large crystal in the center top island. I know that we have 1 billion of these up in Azisla, but this is another massive ether crystal, and we know that crystals of water will bleed water. So I guess that's how it's still hydrated up here, but do we have any other thoughts?
I mean, there are things you could do with technologies to replicate the effect, but it does kind of look like crystal, so that, it makes sense to me.
Well,
I do find it.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Oh, no.
I had a few thoughts on it, but I want to kind of reserve it till I have more evidence.
Yeah, I agree. I'm kind of thinking the same way.
Can I tell you what I was thinking?
Go ahead.
It looks suspiciously like a mother crystal. It made me wonder about, in ancient times when they summoned the 2 deities, if perhaps they just kind of had the rock laying around. And used
Maybe
that
they
as
had,
a medium.
maybe they had an idea of what Hydaelyn and Zodiac were, at least as a mythological concept, and then they turned it into what it is now.
Yeah.
All this purple, and you mentioned it earlier, but all this purple that I'm seeing that you mentioned, now it's just appearing a lot more to me.
On the floating
On
city?
the right, and because there's a little bit on a little bit on the left below it, then there's a lot more on the right.
Mm-hmm.
And blue on the left.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Purple, blue.
Yeah, it does look like the art's schematically. Like if you look at the supposedly purple tree on the left, that deeper blue-violet. And on the right, the trees skew a little bit more pink.
But that's just an outside observation.
It's interesting, though, because we associate Zodiark with purple, but actually the ether inside the crystal is very much more of a pink. So, anyway, the beach.
Does this remind anyone of Final Fantasy X?
Mm-hmm.
A lot,
Yeah,
actually.
definitely.
New
The
type.
way the buildings are spread out and very close to the surface instead of having a lot of verticality is very much like the flooded sort of world.
New type's got that hard science on the mood rings. I'm just teasing.
I'm wondering, actually, now that we bring up 10 again, how much the floating continent might be a little bit like Xanarkand.
There's going to be a lot of screenshots taken here. I can definitely tell already.
On the
Definitely.
on the Xanarkand comment, the people around the city of Zeal in the sky called Enhasa the city of dreams, and they would spend more time sleeping than awake.
Huh.
I do feel like Amarat had very strong parallels to Xanarkand, but that does not mean that we won't see the theme recur. We might see different aspects of it, is what I would expect.
Yes, Amarat's definitely a Xanarkand, but they could do it again, and they could do it from a different angle.
Mm-hmm.
So here we get the square-shaped kind of structure in the background. And the giant skull material of, what people were saying before.
This stuff in the foregrounds looks like dwellings cut into the rock, maybe? I'm really interested by that.
Yeah, because they have flags.
Yeah, there's definitely some purpose, some man-made thing going on.
And of course, you get to see the Tello Tower off to the left, close up.
Presumably that's maybe going to be the first one we go into.
Possibly, yeah.
I like that the structure there is straight up carved out of the mountains, which is very. I mean, this region of Earth, they did a lot of that, but it's just nice to see that kind of structure every once in a while.
Yeah, because it's not natural. It intentionally was carved.
It was
All the
carved out of
square.
bedrock, the city. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm really excited about this zone because not only do we have one of Fandaniel's towers, but it looks different from the others. And I want to know why.
It does, doesn't it?
I'm going to shake the secrets out of them.
Shake the secrets out of the tower first.
Carefully.
Make it do a Galen dance for you.
You don't know how hard I'm bonking myself right now.
What was the next one? Let's see.
Muddy River.
Ah, this one. So, looks like the elephants are caught with a cold. No wonder the water's muddy.
Oh my. This is an interesting bridge, and I'm curious where it'll lead us. And since this water is kind of murky, like I know they introduced diving in, obviously in Stormblood. I wonder if we can go under and find anything interesting that you can't see from the surface.
Yeah, the tiger is much more well-defined than the ones from Yangsha.
Superior high-quality tigers.
I mean, this river is clearly cloudy with silt, you know?
Yeah.
But the river Ganges is not like bright blue tropical water. It's a little bit more green and.
That was kind of what I was thinking. Is it has that lived-in kind of thing
Yeah,
where
I
there's
mean, it's a silty river.
Sunset or sunrise kind of design put into the bridge. Oh.
Yeah, it makes me also think that the river might be more fast flowing because that sort of thing will kick up the silt more.
And just for reference, again, the reason I'm doing this is because theme park MMO, right? But the snaking river. Do you see?
The Ganges River, yeah.
Do you see how the river snakes around like it did in the city?
Yep.
Indeed, yeah, that's very accurate actually.
Yeah,
India
so that's
and
why I wanted to-
Bangladesh.
exactly. So it's the India, like this is the region of the world that this part of Heidelin is simulating. So you have the very bright yellows and reds.
Being
and
one of
pinks.
the most popular, the polluted river in the world. Okay.
Yeah. So
Let's hope this one isn't.
right.
Yeah, and if it is polluted, I'm sure there's like going to be an explanation for why.
There you go, Colrath. Time to take a dip.
As I recall, the Ganges River is also fairly important culturally, so I wonder if
Oh,
this
yeah.
one will fill us some more.
It's a very holy river in Hinduism.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's actually like it's used in Shiva, the Hindu deity, iconography and such. Man, if we go there and they're like, "Oh yeah, something Shiva," and they're like, "What? No, not the ice goddess. This deity we have."
This
I
looks
will
like
just
a
laugh and
training
laugh.
arena.
The destroyer. Yeah, this is the new Sun Sea Sky. Maybe.
Possibly, yeah.
That was my first thought. It really, you can see the other training dummy in the background. It's gotta be.
There's at least 2 in this image. I don't see a third one, but
It would be over to the side. I like the banners too. Up this close, I can see that they've got kind of that same eye symbolism on them.
And here we have, let's see, the giant bridge. We're on the giant bridge, and we see in the background that there is the dancer statues again. And the design on the bridge, you can't really tell. The one before, when we were looking up at it, had like either like a sunrise or a sunset design to it.
In
This
before, one side is sunrise and the other one's sunset.
Possibly, yeah.
I mean, that would fit.
back to Labyrinthos.
Now we're on the ground. So we see the kind of clockwork stuff on the tower now. Stuff on the
large gears.
Yeah.
I initially thought
And-
they were water wheels, but they're clearly like big cogs.
Is that a force field or just like water? Just no, those are not.
That's the thing I was commenting on during the video. It looks like a force field. I wonder if it's going to be like a controlled access to certain areas only, which would help the area not be like too ridiculously sprawling. But I'm not sure. I'm very curious.
We've got it visible in the Dark Knight as well.
Okay, yeah,
the
that's
blue-
definitely a force field.
You see the pillars of light, so it's. I think I'm leaning your way. I think it's a force field or a wall, not just lighting.
Prevent people from going into certain areas, yeah.
Yeah.
Stay out of my home, you weirdos. What are all these adventurers doing down here? Get off my lawn.
It's funny that they're using force fields when they're still using cogs and wheels.
Right. Yeah, it's a pretty interesting juxtaposition.
Well, you know what's funny to me is that I was just thinking of the cogs as adornment-like things, and it's like, well, they're kind of like the spires in Amrot, but very much also not in a way.
They also have windmills. Do you see that in the background?
Which is that doesn't make sense because you're already controlling everything in here, unless the windmills are making the wind. Which no, that's not how.
No, because
What do you
they
guys
are
think?
simulating the weather, and if they would be simulating, because we already discussed how they would be simulating a thunderstorm. Basically, that you just kind of put the image on the screen and then turn on the sprinklers.
You know,
How would you simulate the wind? Well, you would just turn on gusts of air.
Mm-hmm.
You're recycling the ether involved or whatever.
Hey, so Listening Garden says, I wonder if they'll use that as a way to block progression over aether currents. It's possible. But that also got me thinking, aren't ether currents we wander around and find the natural attunements of wind in the area?
Yep, that's right.
There's not going to be any natural wind in here unless it's really that big where it can actually have weather patterns, which I doubt.
Yeah, it's hard to say. I mean, this blue could also, it doesn't look strong enough to be a force field. I don't see any. We usually see geometric patterns on force fields.
It does seem fairly short.
They could be torches. This could be funneling ether from deeper underground up to the surface, where it's livably useful.
I see how it's on top of the wall. Maybe it's just an advanced electric fence.
It's also, you see the pillar where the windmill is. There's 2 visible right here, maybe 4.
Yeah, but I see a wall that comes through with there as well.
True. Yeah.
I just don't know.
Hard to say.
So far, it seems to be in all the actual renders, the in-game shots we've seen, though, so that's interesting.
And they've got a water tower here now.
Yeah, it could be less wall and more fence, you know? It's really hard to say. It just looks like it's glowing, and I don't necessarily see anything more than 20 feet tall.
It makes you wonder whether or not we're going to actually be able to fly in here.
I would expect, but I just don't know. Maybe it is just adornment.
Have they told us this will be the raid hub or anything, or is it just a zone?
It's just a zone. They haven't really specified.
So, I mean, Thavnair has got to be... Radzathan is the city. Is that the raid city? Or is that the hub city?
Charlene, I think, is the hub
Charlene
city.
is the hub
I'm
city.
pretty sure that
Charlene is the hub
Radzathan is the
city.
raid city.
Got it. So what is this, then?
An enigma.
A very spooky one.
Is it just a zone? I mean, they wouldn't show
Yeah,
anything
yeah,
else.
it
It's a zone. Like it's just a big zone, big bunker thing.
Yeah, I'm very curious. I mean, they want someone to live here. It's very obvious, and if it's not a town, based on current game design, it would have to be a zone, and if it's a zone, it means we're going to be fighting through it, storyline, etc. It's just I'm very curious. They're teasing us.
They are. And this little sign, it's kind of blurry. I can't quite make it out. It looks like a coat ribbon.
It looks like a train on a train track. That's a train depot.
Okay, so that's the train
I
depot.
mean, I could
That's
be
where we get
wrong,
out.
but it very much looks like it now that I'm looking at it up closer.
Yeah, I
Cowcatcher
see
and
it.
everything.
Or is it 2 people holding hands?
We shall see.
Too lewd for this stream.
That was not lewd.
Holding hands. Jeez, Cobran. The train tracks at the bottom are what make me think that anyway.
And here we have more.
In before the training dummies in Garlemald are fire hydrants.
I mean, I think it's the general Thavnarian one, but that would be funny. That would be very funny.
It would be.
And these
Also,
buildings are wrecked.
What finely shaped cars, by the way?
Just like all these boxy looking 70s Kias and shit.
Boxy looking Fiat.
It looks like in the background this overpass is even completely like broken up.
I have to say, cars this size are not uncommon in Japan.
Yeah, it's probably influenced by that.
I
You
hadn't thought
saying they
about
drive
that.
on the
That makes
right
sense.
side of the street too?
I think these people maybe weren't driving well when when they abandoned their car. Midnight Cora says those cars must be huge to fit Guardians in them and all their leg.
Oh
Yeah.
boy, that's funny.
They
That
must
is a
have
funny
special cars.
juxtaposition.
for the royal family.
Royal
They
family
just sit on
family
top.
cars.
Yeah, I'm also wondering if they only let citizens drive, or if like Aeons could drive as well. Pawns.
Hopefully, they at least have a driver's license system.
Dude, yes,
I mean, for appearances, probably, yeah.
The Galvus limo, it's like half the size of a city block.
Pretty much.
Emmett doing donuts, Skullwrath.
Hell yeah!
Right, what?
He makes the Azem crystal symbol in wheelies,
Oh my god.
leaves them in the snow.
This area does not seem to have suffered the same destruction of the other one.
Yeah.
And this one's just, they pretty much show that they are still harvesting ceruleum.
I mean, of course, Xenos is like, why are my chambers cold? And Panhaniel's like, I'll check on the ceruleum pipeline, my lord.
We'll get the thralls right on it.
Exactly.
Now we get to look kind of inside one of the bases that isn't quite torn down. We see
Do
the
you think
little
this is
satellite.
some sort of Garlean studium?
Possibly. I
I'm
wonder what
very
the little
interested,
box is up top.
I'm very interested to see what the Imperial Palace is going to be left with, like what it's going to even look like.
Actually,
Now-
I think it's outside still, because look, there's a car in the background.
Yeah.
Yeah, this
Entry.
is outside.
Yeah, this is just a building that for some reason hasn't been damaged, which means it's probably useful. This might be like the exit of the train depot or something.
It might also be another thing that comes to mind is it could be the Senate. Like they still have a deliberative body under something left over from when they were a republic that was retained, but was like the Roman Empire's version of the Senate, just like a rubber stamp.
Let's see, they don't have any flags on the outside or anything. It's just like a standard structure.
I mean, the fact is, even just as this past expansion,
But there's
before-
two pillars, so I'm assuming that there's a giant overhead.
I was about to say, I'm pretty sure they're cutting it off the top very deliberately.
Yeah, they don't want to show too much at the top. But it also makes me think a little bit of Amarat's Capitol building.
The scale it really reminds me of it. It looks just huge for Sundered structures.
You say that, but just living in the world, there's a lot of buildings like this in
Oh, yeah.
capital districts.
Big cities. It really drives home that you are in a big city. This ain't your 9,000 population town. Yeah.
I wonder how much of Garlemald's structures will be scaled up for the fact that there will be Garleans who are big, and that also add Emmett as its designer.
It would be funny if he was future-proofing and be like, well, when the rejoinings are done, we'll need really tall buildings.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
sure.
you probably didn't want to keep these ugly things.
Kolrath asks if Garlemald gets good reception.
Well, they have DirecTV, I guess.
Okay, so there's a normal Garlemald structure against the chaotic Nightmare Tower.
Now I'm wondering. if
Someone's
that's the
already
same one.
doing some crazy driving, looks like.
I see the swirls there in the middle.
Those are
That's the
donuts.
that's the Galvus limousine.
There on the right, a little bit in the background, it does look like there's maybe rails coming in, though.
Yeah, this looks like a this looks like an actual train stop right here, on the right hand side, the left to right with the pillars and the over.
Yeah.
And I think I see tracks above the blob monster. Yeah, this looks like a train depot.
That's that blob monster. Where have I seen that before?
There's mobs like it in various places have Palace of the Dead, the Tamtara Deepcroft hard, if not regular. A few other places. There's a hunt rank melt. That's one of those.
That's one of them. Yep, that's it.
Eureka also. They're present where things are not right.
Yeah, seeing this thing means things have gone very much not good.
If you couldn't tell by the Nightmare Tower.
Or the giant blob monster.
Midnight Kulrath is on fire today. That enemy is just the descendant of the Cubist. Well, you're not wrong.
Boy.
Then there's this.
Yeah, the beautiful waterfall up in the sky. We know where we are here. This is the zone I'm most hyped for, honestly.
Yeah, you can even see the little square on its corner pattern here on this island in the background that we see zoomed out on the art. They're on like the edges of the island.
They're deliberately keeping our focus on like the edges of the zone, it would seem, though.
Mm-hmm.
There's something
We're looking outward.
away.
And what's that pavilion?
Not much else we can kind of gather from that little area other than the design on the side. And
there's a
that's a little
pavilion.
tent.
Yeah, there is.
That's odd. I wonder who made that / maintains it. Cloth falls apart real fast in the open air.
Well, maybe it's a new structure. Like maybe we set up camp.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. I'm curious. It's got
pillars.
fancy planners. That doesn't look temporary.
No.
Sid's like, hold on, I gotta get the plan. I'm kidding.
It's got a lamppost or something down at the bottom there.
Yeah, looks like that.
Yeah.
I'm so excited.
Yeah. The colors in this one are fairly tame, though we do get a little bit of like pink in the grass and orangish on the trees.
Kind of comparing day and night cycles.
Yeah, yeah. This looks like straight out of a Yasunori Mitsuda game that he composed. It really does. I love these colors.
Again with the purple motif.
Indeed.
And the La
It's
Habrea
got the-
Pegasus.
The purple trees, kind of like in Lakeland in the Crystarium, and a little bit in the Tempest. There's the tops of the trees are turning sort of purplish.
Mm-hmm.
Someone remind me, was there some lore on why why Lakeland's trees were purple? I feel like there was something about the light making the leaves, like the eternal light making the leaves pick another color that was more useful, but I might be
I don't
insane.
know if that was lore or a scientific hypothesis. I don't remember if... It's been a long time since we discussed that. That was on one of our early podcasts. We discussed something about the trees in Lakeland being the exact right color for like a high UV environment.
Say Bonnie's ready to
Somebody did this. Somebody talked about this, and I don't recall.
Yeah, I just remember very vaguely.
Very early 5.0.
I'll have to review it.
That would make sense because it's just sort of a tickling thing in the back of my brain, but nothing solid. If so, though, it'll be interesting either way.
Yeah, agreed. I love the skybox, these clouds.
Yeah, they framed this one very carefully to show us almost nothing. Like we can see the crest of another tree, and that is it.
Toast says he believes it was scientific. Maybe I'll try to find that.
Other than, well, go ahead and throw out our Discord. Just so that people know that we have one. And we also have a YouTube. We also well, you already know we have a Twitch. You can join us every single Sunday, same time, 3:00 p.m., 4:00 Eastern time. Or you
We
can just
talk
kind of follow our Twitter and see when we get the ping when we go live.
We talk a lot on the Discord. We chat about every idea that we are interested in. And it's not just us like talking at you. We want you to come and tell us your own ideas and participate in discussions. It's just
give us your most harebrained, crazy, off-the-wall theories, and we will absolutely adore having you around.
I should add, is it appropriate to give an announcement today or no?
Next week.
Next week, okay.
Next week we'll have an announcement.
Well, consider
So
you
for
guys,
now, please look forward.
Yeah, please look forward to it. Consider yourselves
Very special
teased.
one. But with that, we'll give you a reminder on the topic here within the next few days on next week's subject. But for now, we'll go ahead and close out this session. I hope you guys had a great time. I had a great time kind of looking over the producer live letter. We weren't able to do it last time due to time constraints and just how late it was. But we were able to do it just a little bit more in depth today and got to look over a few of the screenshots and kind of give our thoughts on it. Anyone else have anything to kind of give your thoughts on?
I'm just really excited for Endwalker, and it's coming
It's
so
coming
soon.
so soon. It's only less than 5 months away. I'm like, whoa.
Thank you for all of our new followers. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you for listening to us ramble on and on for 2.5 hours.
There's a lot in this live letter.
We got a lot of new followers today. Welcome.
Welcome.
You
And,
guys make what we do worth doing.
yes, we love your support. Thank you for joining us every stream, and thank you for following us. So we will catch you guys next time.
Yep, see you all next time. All right.
Take care, everyone.
Take care.